Would you believe that something as innocent as a Coca-Cola could be an entire country's slow poison? The name might bring to mind refreshment, but in Mexico, it's more like a weapon of mass destruction. From secret political deals to turning a generation into addicts, Coca-Cola isn't just killing thirst, it's killing Mexico. When you think of Coca-Cola, you probably picture a bright red can, a classic logo, and a refreshing sip on a hot day. But in Mexico, Coca-Cola is not just a drink. It's a silent killer, an evil force that is supplied to the entire society in their blood to turn it black. Behind the bright colors and catchy jingles, Coca-Cola started the national health crisis, making everyone suffer from deadly health complications like diabetes, obesity, and heart disease. How did Coca-Cola manage to seize such power in Mexico? It wasn't just about selling soda, it was about manipulating the system, building shady alliances with corrupt politicians, crushing local competition, and transforming an entire nation into addicts. This wasn't accidental. It was a calculated move by an empire that wanted control, not just profit. You don't build empires by selling sugar water, you build them by controlling nations. Coca-Cola knew this, and it executed its plan flawlessly. It didn't stop at advertising. It infiltrated politics, funded campaigns, and even monopolized water sources. In rural areas where clean water is scarce, Coca-Cola became cheaper than water itself, forcing communities to rely on soda for survival. Imagine that, an entire population drinking poison because they have no other choice. Today, Mexico consumes more Coca-Cola per capita than any other country. Entire communities are addicted, and people are dying because of it, with families forced to choose between their health and basic sustenance. It's no exaggeration to say that Mexico is drowning in Coke. And the true cost? It's not just financial, it's measured in lives, in the thousands of bodies left in the wake of Coca-Cola's corporate greed. So ask yourself, was this an accident? Or was it always Coca-Cola's plan to turn Mexico into a nation of addicts, no matter the human cost? Coca-Cola didn't just arrive in Mexico, it invaded. In the 1920s, Mexico was a prime target for American corporations looking to expand. Coca-Cola saw an opportunity, but the real push came in the 1970s, when the company struck deals with local politicians and began aggressive advertising campaigns. It wasn't about selling a product, it was about embedding Coca-Cola into Mexican life. Mexico's political elite wanted control, and Coca-Cola was a willing partner. From funding political campaigns to sponsoring national holidays, Coca-Cola didn't just sell soda, it bought influence. And soon, this soft drink became a staple in Mexican households. Some communities now offer Coca-Cola to their gods instead of local drinks like pulque or pozol. But it didn't stop there. In areas where clean drinking water was scarce, Coca-Cola became cheaper and more accessible than water itself. Rural towns were flooded with Coke, and entire generations grew up hooked on sugar. The company marketed Coca-Cola as a status symbol, a sign of modern life, but in reality, it was fostering a deadly addiction. Mexico quickly became Coca-Cola's biggest success story. Today, the average Mexican drinks more than 700 cups of Coca-Cola annually. And all this was never an accident. It was planned by a mastermind. It was Coca-Cola's carefully calculated strategy to turn a nation into lifelong consumers. What Mexico got in return was a ticking health bomb, and Coca-Cola got a billion-dollar market. Coca-Cola's grip on Mexico is so strong that some say the country isn't just hooked on Coke, it's held hostage. While trigger of the bomb being in the hands of Coca-Cola, the population of Mexico can even become zero. Behind every empire, there's a mastermind, a figure so powerful and cunning that they pull the strings from the shadows, ensuring their empire's dominance while others suffer. In the case of Coca-Cola's devastating grip on Mexico, this mastermind isn't a single villain, but a group of CEOs, corporate elites, and high-level decision-makers who planned the country's downfall for profit. At the heart of Coca-Cola's expansion into Mexico was a key figure, Roberto Goizueta, the Cuban-born CEO who led Coca-Cola during its most aggressive global growth phase in the 1980s and 1990s. Goizueta didn't just want Coca-Cola to be a product, he wanted it to be a way of life. Under his leadership, Coca-Cola wasn't marketed as a simple refreshment, but as a necessity, a symbol of modernity, success, and progress. But Goizueta had a darker vision. He saw Mexico not as a market to serve, but as a country ripe for exploitation. His strategy was simple: saturate Mexico with Coca-Cola until it became more accessible than water. And under his command, the company poured millions into advertising and forged corrupt political alliances to ensure that the sugary drink flooded every corner of the nation. It wasn't an accident, it was a master plan. But Goizueta wasn't acting alone. Behind him was a team of executives who executed this agenda with ruthless precision. Key figures like Donald Keough, another high-ranking executive, and other corporate leaders designed marketing campaigns that penetrated Mexican culture so deeply that Coca-Cola became embedded in religious festivals, social events, and daily routines. Together, these men made an empire, but at the heart of that empire lay a ticking time bomb, a health crisis that would claim millions of lives. Their methods were as brutal as they were effective. Coca-Cola didn't just advertise, it built secret deals with Mexican politicians, ensuring that regulations were lax, taxes were low, and competitors were crushed. By the time Mexico realized what was happening, it was already too late. The Coca-Cola executives had installed their product in schools, hospitals, even churches, branding it as a necessity, not a luxury. And who was going to stop them? Politicians? Coca-Cola had them in their pocket. Health officials? Outgunned and outspent. The people? Addicted and unaware. Goizueta's vision was complete domination. He wasn't selling a drink, he was creating an empire based on addiction. A system where Coca-Cola was synonymous with survival. To the masterminds behind this plan, it was all about control. They saw Mexico as a playground, a market to exploit until every last peso was squeezed out of its people. But at what cost? The real mastermind wasn't just the man who sat in Coca-Cola's CEO chair. It was the entire system they built, one that crushed health, freedom, and choice under the weight of a red and white logo. These were the men who sold out Mexico's future for profit. And the terrifying truth? The masterminds behind this plan are still out there, still profiting, still spreading Coca-Cola's deadly grip across the globe. Coca-Cola didn't just sell a drink in Mexico. They sold an illusion, a mirage of prosperity, health, and modernity. Through ruthless and deceptive advertising, Coca-Cola exploited Mexico's vulnerabilities, turning dire poverty and crumbling infrastructure into a playground for its sinister marketing tactics. This chapter reveals how Coca-Cola's false narratives and brainwashing strategies inflicted severe damage on an entire nation. 1. The mirage of health and vitality. Coca-Cola's advertising campaigns in Mexico didn't just promote a sugary beverage. They crafted a lie that their product was synonymous with health and vitality. How did Coca-Cola get away with promoting a drink as healthy while it was fueling a diabetes and obesity epidemic? Ads featured fit, happy people enjoying Coca-Cola as if it were a symbol of wellness. Did Coca-Cola's shiny, vibrant advertisements mask the reality of their product's devastating health impacts? By aligning their product with health and happiness, Coca-Cola created a deadly illusion that misled millions. 2. The illusion of modernity and success in a country struggling with poverty and inadequate infrastructure. Coca-Cola's marketing depicted their product as a ticket to modernity and success. How did Coca-Cola use this false promise to exploit the desperate? The company positioned itself as a symbol of a better life, embedding its brand in scenes of modern progress and social status. This clever facade masked the reality of increasing health issues and left the poor dreaming of a false prosperity sold in a can. 3. Brainwashing through strategic sponsorship. Coca-Cola's presence in Mexican festivals, sports events, and community activities wasn't just about visibility, it was a strategic brainwashing operation. How did Coca-Cola turn itself into an indispensable part of Mexican life? By sponsoring local events and integrating its product into social traditions, Coca-Cola ensured its brand became synonymous with celebration and happiness, making it nearly impossible for people to associate it with the harmful effects of excessive sugar consumption. Coca-Cola's marketing in Mexico was nothing short of diabolical. Through deceptive advertising and manipulative tactics, the company turned a nation's vulnerabilities into a goldmine of addiction and health crises. The true cost of Coca-Cola's false narratives is measured in lives ruined and health destroyed, a stark reminder of the risk of unchecked corporate power. People need food and water to survive. But what happens when you take away the water necessary for survival? That's exactly what Coca-Cola did to the people of Mexico. Coca-Cola's operations in Mexico have waged a silent but deadly war on the nation's health by hijacking the country's already scarce water resources. Under the guise of corporate responsibility, Coca-Cola's greed has left a trail of devastation, exploiting Mexico's water supply while exacerbating a severe public health crisis. How did Coca-Cola's insatiable thirst for profit contribute to a national water crisis? Coca-Cola's factories in Mexico have been devouring water at unsustainable rates, draining local communities of their lifeblood. While Coca-Cola boasted about its commitment to local development, its factories were causing severe water shortages. Communities were left to suffer without reliable access to clean drinking water, while Coca-Cola's production continued unabated, driven by the relentless demand for its sugary products. How many lives have been jeopardized by Coca-Cola's actions? The true cost of Coca-Cola's exploitation is not only measured in dollars, but also in the lives and futures of millions of Mexicans. As Coca-Cola's grip tightened on Mexico, the people finally rose in resistance. But what drove Mexicans to rebel against this corporate giant? Mexicans are now fighting back, waging a brutal battle against a behemoth that thrives on destruction. How did they mobilize against a corporation with such immense power? Grassroots movements, local protests, and legal battles have become the front line of this war. Communities are demanding justice for the health crises inflicted upon them and calling for an end to Coca-Cola's ruthless exploitation. Will this fight be enough to overcome the monstrous influence of Coca-Cola? The resistance is fierce, but the real question remains: can a nation's willpower counteract the destructive force of corporate greed? If Coca-Cola keeps going the way it is, the world might turn black, as its ruthless strategies in Mexico are not isolated incidents. They are part of a global blueprint for corporate domination. As Coca-Cola extends its reach worldwide, the same brutal tactics used to exploit Mexico are being deployed elsewhere. The world might run out of water, causing serious shortages for communities. The company's greed could strip the earth of its vital resources, turning it into a dry, lifeless place. As sugary drinks become more common, health problems like diabetes and obesity could become widespread. If Coca-Cola's power isn't controlled, we could face a nightmare where regions are devastated, the environment falls apart, and people suffer and just die, leaving the world for them to rule over, just to make more money. Coca-Cola may have started as a fun, refreshing drink in Mexico, but its legacy has turned deadly. The country's addiction to sugary soda has created a health crisis, with millions of people suffering from obesity, diabetes, and other sugar-related illnesses. Coca-Cola's dominance over the beverage industry and its ability to integrate itself into Mexican culture has made it incredibly difficult to reduce consumption. While the soda tax and education campaigns are steps in the right direction, the long-term solution lies in creating real alternatives for Mexican citizens: clean water, better health education, and cultural shifts away from the glorification of sugary drinks. If nothing changes, Coca-Cola will continue to dominate Mexico, leaving a bitter taste in the lives of millions. The question is, can Mexico break free from this deadly addiction, or is the grip of Coca-Cola too strong to loosen? If this shocking story about Coca-Cola's deadly grip on Mexico left you curious, there's so much more to uncover. Subscribe to FactHub, where we explore into unsolved mysteries, paranormal activities, historical enigmas, and the dark secrets hiding in real-life X-Files. From strange phenomena to the legends and folklore that still haunt us, this channel is your gateway to the unknown. Don't forget to hit the bell icon so you never miss an episode. The truth is out there, and we're here to explore it all.